السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله أحمده وأستعينه وأستغفره وأستهديه وأعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من بين خلقه وخليله. بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح لهذه الأمة صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I do not envy anyone for being in this position. I would not want for anyone to be in this position, addressing the Muslim community today on the day of the inauguration. But perhaps it might be a good opportunity for us to reflect. And I can't think of anything that is more inspiring than the example of our Prophet ﷺ and the prophets before him. So we may all need to remind ourselves of the principles, the ethical principles of our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. For we get our inspiration from the Prophet of Allah and the prophets who came before him. And Allah Himself told him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to find inspiration in the examples of the prophets who were before him. our Prophet ﷺ had the best of character. His companion said he was the best of people in terms of his character ﷺ. And his commitment to his moral principles were not conditional. In other words, it didn't depend on how the Prophet ﷺ felt about an individual. It didn't depend on the political climate or what is politically correct. The Prophet ﷺ was not there to please anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So appeasing his enemies or the popular culture wasn't part of the agenda of the Prophet ﷺ. His commitment to his moral principles came before and above anything. So let us remember this. And also let us remember that virtue, which is what each and every single one of us is pursuing in this life, the very activity, the very ritual, the very event that we came to attend and be part of, in spite of the severe weather conditions, coming to Jum'ah, is an act of virtue, bir. Praying Fajr, praying Dhuhr, praying Asr, praying Maghrib, praying Isha, fasting in the month of Ramadan, speaking the truth, all of these, giving charity, performing Hajj, all of these things that we do, they're acts of bir, virtue. We do it in the pursuit of virtue, and we do it in the name of Allah so that we can attain virtue, bir. We give charity, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ, because Allah the Almighty said you will not attain bir, virtue, until you spend from that which you love. So bir is what we're pursuing. So Messenger of Allah was asked by one of his companions, what is bir, virtue? And the Prophet ﷺ summarized it by saying, Al-birru husnul khuluq, that virtue is good character. And good character is to behave properly, to know how to behave properly, and do the right thing at the right time for the right reason. Do the right thing at the right time for the right reason in the right fashion. That's what it is. And in spite of how you feel, in spite of your mood. And if you ever violate it, then the right thing to do is to correct it, or to apologize, or to rectify. So the Prophet ﷺ is our greatest inspiration, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if we were to look into the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he had to go through, what his companions had to go through, the hardships, the ups and the downs, the challenges, there is no way that you can compare it to anything that you and I are experiencing nowadays. Right? Can you imagine being amongst the very few, the 5 people or the 7 people who are with the Prophet ﷺ, having to hide their Islam, having to hide their identity and their belief, not being able to pray in public or say that they're Muslims? There was a time where Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says that he saw the Prophet of Allah ﷺ being physically abused, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he couldn't do anything. He just stood there looking the whole time, seeing the whole thing unfold before his eyes. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud could not make a move. He could not protest. He could not say anything. He could not invoke anything. There was no constitution to be invoked. There is no legal rights. There is nothing, absolutely nothing he could do but watch passively and painfully the Prophet ﷺ being insulted and being disrespected. And the Prophet ﷺ dealt with hardships even after he moved out of Mecca. It didn't stop until the last day of his life, ﷺ. And we know that the Prophet ﷺ, one of the things that we know is that the Prophet ﷺ never lost focus or doubted as to what his mission in this life is. and who it is that He needs to please, and who it is that He worships, and who it is that He answers to. Allah Rabbul Alameen. He always had this conviction and faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His promise, no matter what happens. So that's one thing that we always have to remember. Maintain your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Realize and understand and remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fully in charge. That's number one. Number two, hope. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never gave hope, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Never gave up. Do not despair. Do not despair. If anything, anytime you're faced with a challenge, it should make you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should remind you of the source of your hope. It should remind you of the source of your strength. The one who's keeping you alive. The one who is protecting you and preserving you from many unrealized and unnoticed dangers and threats. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Rabbul Alameen. When the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam noticed that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was very nervous, he reminded him, Allahu ma'ana, Allah is with us. Don't forget this. Don't forget this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. So remember this. Your duty is to make sure that you're on the side of Allah so that Allah would always be with you. Never doubt that. So remember, maintain hope. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ came to the Messenger of Allah, telling him, أَلَا تَدْعُوا لَنَا? Asking him, isn't it about time for you to pray for us? Pray for us, O Messenger of Allah. أَلَا تَسْتَنصِرُوا لَنَا? Invoke God's divine power to come upon these people. Some of us just want quick solutions. Something to happen overnight, some miracle to happen that will basically allow us to snap out of this nightmare. Something that will happen. We don't want to even go through any of this for another 40 years. And this, again, there is no comparison whatsoever between that and what we are dealing with. There is no comparison. They came to him. These are people like Khabbab ibn al-Arat. They were physically abused. Some of them actually lost their lives. أَلَا تَدْعُوا لَنَا أَلَا تَسْتَنصِرُوا لَنَا? And the Prophet ﷺ sat up. He was laying down. He sat up. You have any doubt? And then he reminded them of the example of those who were before them and what they went through. And the Prophet ﷺ then told them that, Wallahi, he made an oath by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this matter of ours will reach its destiny. And a time will come where a woman will be able to travel. Speaking about women's rights, subhanAllah. Early on, this is in the Meccan period, in the early days, the Prophet said a woman will be able to travel from this place to that place, a long distance, not fearing anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the wolf maybe for her cattle. Other than that, there will be safety and security under the protection of Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ gave him that hope. Don't ever forget that. Same thing as they were digging the trench. They were digging a trench to stand their ground against a massive force coming to wipe them out. Those of us who are scared of Islamophobes. A massive force to wipe them out. Annihilate them. Eradicate them. Just wipe them out. Eradicate them. Right? Very terminology that is being used nowadays. And they were digging a trench to stand their ground. Radiallahu anhum ardahum. In the midst of the process of doing it, the Prophet ﷺ was working with them. He said to them, Allahu Akbar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed me the palaces of the Persian Empire, the palaces of the Roman Empire. And indeed, they couldn't even go out to relieve themselves. And the Prophet ﷺ gave them the glad tidings. Look forward. Be hopeful. So maintain hope. Maintain hope. And I don't want to take too long because it's raining. But I will just conclude with maybe one more point. And that has to do with maintaining our our Islamic principle in approaching anyone. There is an Islamic principle that we were taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was exemplified by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was actually practiced by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was shown to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He himself was told about this principle in the example of Musa alayhi salam. Whenever we approach anyone, right, we have to remember that we must do it in the best of fashion. One thing that we all, ought to, always remember, and I'm going to say this to myself. Let us take our principles and our guidelines and our style from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not from modern day sheikhs or imams or activists or anyone. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. The prophetic approach is always superior, always effective, is the best. So we know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on multiple occasions dealt gently and kindly with his enemies. Was he weak? No. On multiple occasions. I'm not saying always, but on multiple occasions, the Prophet ﷺ handled his enemies in the most peaceful of fashion, with gentleness, with ease. And when on one occasion Aisha radiallahu anha snapped and responded to the insult of some Jewish rabbis to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet said to her, "Ya Aisha, not like that. Be kind. Maintain gentleness." And then he told her, "Inna rifqa ma kana fi shay'in illa zana." That rifq, gentleness and ease, whatever it accompanies, it will adorn it. It will beautify it. And any time it's extracted or it's removed or it's deprived from something, it will ruin it. Right? There's a very powerful example that we are given in the Quran. There's this tyrannical figure that is mentioned in the Quran, Pharaoh, multiple times. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Pharaoh. Can you think of anyone worse than Pharaoh for you to deal with or confront? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells his prophet about the example of Musa and Aaron and Harun, whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commissioned with a message to go and deliver to Pharaoh, none other than Pharaoh. And in the process, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Musa and Harun to go and speak to him gently. فَقُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. Speak to him in a soft fashion. Tell him, speak to him. Your first initial approach and engagement with him, make sure that you do it softly, gently. Perhaps that he might bethink his position. He might find admonition, or he might fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He might have a second thought. So there's a very interesting and brilliant comment made by Imam Al-Razi on this. That on this phrase or this principle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed Musa alayhi salam with. Obviously, it does not imply any doubt on God's part as to Pharaoh's future reaction. It's not like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't know what Pharaoh's future reaction is going to be. But, however, it implies no more than his command to the bearer of his message to address the sinner with a view that to the latter's bethinking himself. It all has to do with the attitude of the bearer of the message, not necessarily what the reaction of the sinner might be. In other words, it relates to the intention or hope with which the message bearer should approach his task. This is very profound. Since the Quran comes with universal principles of human behavior, it is evident that God's command to Moses to speak to one particular sinner in a mild manner, so that he might have a chance to bethink himself, retains its validity for all times in such attempts at conversion. This is very powerful. It all has to do with our principles, with your principle, what you need to commit to, the hope that you should have. You don't know what that individual's reaction might be. And let me just say, in the story of Fir'aun and Musa, we know that Fir'aun did not respond positively. But guess what happened? People within the inner circle of power of Fir'aun, what happened to them? Imagine if Moses did not speak to Pharaoh in that fashion, and it all became confrontational, it all became violent. Imagine if Moses was not willing to speak gently and softly and stand and speak and of course speak truth to power and challenge and remain there. He was not, and imagine if he allowed his fear to cause him to back down or turn away the other way or run away or be silent. He spoke, he engaged them. What happened? The sorcerers, the magicians converted, became Muslim. The man from his family, a man from Pharaoh's family, from the inner circle of Pharaoh's family, accepted the message. And Banu Israel developed or were able to have the courage to stand up and walk out. Brothers and sisters, there is a reason why we're here. There's a reason why we're here at this time, at this moment in history. But we will not be able to do or behave in the right fashion unless we remind ourselves of who we are, what we are, not back down or shy from who we are. Today is a chance for you and I to start working hard as one community and join other decent people of other faith communities to do what is right for humanity, to do what is right for world peace, to do what is right for our country. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you and I of those who listen and follow the best of what they listen to. أقول هذا القول أستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه يغفر لكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Please move forward and fill in all the gaps. Please make sure that you squeeze in. On January 27th at 7 p.m. there is Muslim candidate training presentation. It's again Friday, I believe, next Friday. It will be next Friday at 7 p.m. Pillars Academy's annual carnival is on Saturday, January 28th at Mason Park in Irvine. Purchase your tickets at the OCIF office. Pillars Academy Parents Night out is tonight between 5 and 9 p.m. Of course, depending on the weather condition, I'm assuming. OCIF blood drive is scheduled Sunday, February 26th. Register at redcross.org. By the way, I can't overemphasize how this is very important for us to take advantage of these kind of initiatives. My experience with the blood drive that we have at the Islamic Institute of Orange County, they get more units from the Muslim community than that are good. Like, our blood is good. Our blood is so. You never know who might use it. You know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all and preserve us all. you may end up needing it yourself, or a family member might end up needing it, or a neighbor, or some. So what I'm trying to say is let's take advantage of this. Let's be proactive about these types of initiatives. It's a great thing to do, and it doesn't cost you anything, and I'm sure it will be good for your health as well, given that you don't have any condition that prevents you from donating blood. So inshallah ta'ala, check out the TV slides for all other events and activities here at the Orange County Islamic Foundation. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve each and every single one of our community members. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen us, bring our hearts together. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us all safe. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve our institutions, to preserve and guide our leaders to do that which is right for the community. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve our children, to preserve their health, to preserve their spirits. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and keep us guided upon the path of those whom He have favored. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our city, to bless our state, to bless our country, to bless this planet of ours, this world of ours. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rid us from violence, from bloodshed. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our Muslim brothers and sisters who are suffering anywhere in this world. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring them relief, give them strength, and give them victory upon their enemies. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أبرم لأمة الإسلام أمر رشد يعز فيه أهل طاعتك ويذل فيه أهل معصيتك ويؤمر فيه بالمعروف وينهى فيه عن المنكر عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.